Hey guys, what's going on? I am Angel Vivaldi, and with me today is the incredibly funny Mr. Bradley Hall. How are you, man?
Very well, thank you.
Good,
Nice
good.
to be here.
Last day, how you feeling?
Good.
Yeah.
Like I said to you earlier, traveling took its toll. And you know what it's like when you're with a big new bunch of people. It takes a while to acclimatize yourself to it. And unfortunately, the last 2 days I finally felt, human again and normal. And now, just in time for going home.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah.
It's sort of like this weird, I don't know, like this push and pull of time. Like I feel like I've been here for like 2 weeks, but I also feel like I've been here for like 4 days.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's residual COVID energy or what, but like it's definitely it's interesting. I think it's because I'm quite an introverted person, so like being around like this for an extended period of time is I haven't flexed that muscle in a while.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's like with you and the jet lag is sort of like you acclimate to it and you're getting your groove into it. Like even with doing the pod, it's sort of like at first it was like, oh, it's great. And then you're sort of like still trying to find your footing because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just like having conversations with the people and having fun and getting to know you guys. And also wanted to give you an opportunity to, for the audiences who maybe aren't familiar with what you do, to just get a little bit of a backstory on, why you're here, what you're doing, and what your strengths are. Mm-hmm. But so run me through it. Obviously, like, you've been doing content for a while, which honestly, like, I love. The first video I saw was I didn't even know it was you because you're not in it. It was that clip of Paul McCartney listening to Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
Dude, that just sent me, man. It sent me because it takes a second to like build up to understand like what's. Dude, it was fucking brilliant. Dude. It was so funny.
Thank you.
And then obviously, like, especially lately, like you've been absolutely slaughtering it, man. You're doing such phenomenal content. It's like engaging, and I enjoy it personally.
Thank you very much.
And obviously, you're a fucking nasty guitar player. Like we got to jam like for a little bit yesterday.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
cool.
fucking hell, man. You're fucking ripped, man. But so one of the things I like to start with this podcast is just giving people insight to all the roles that you play for yourself. So obviously you're doing your own skits, you're filming yourself, and then obviously you're recording and tracking and mixing. Like, so kind of give us the rundown from beginning to end. Like, how many roles and what roles are you playing for your own content in your career?
I guess like a lot of us, I'm multitasking and doing majority myself. Only recently I've started to ease up a little bit and outsource some things. I get some videos edited by a couple of editors that I know. But this is more than the sort of like the longer form stuff that I do. Like the short skit stuff that I do, the comedic stuff, I keep it to myself because I feel like a lot of my humor comes from the editing,
100%,
which is very personal. So it wouldn't really make sense for me to give that away. And I enjoy that a lot. It's not really like a chore for me. So it's fun for me to do that. Yeah, but the filming and the recording, mixing, I do all of that stuff myself.
So you're mixing as well?
Yeah.
Is that something that you're passionate about, or you feel like
no, just out of necessity?
No, I get it, man.
I mean, honestly, I'm not into tones and mixing and all that sort of stuff. It's just like a means to an end for me.
I totally get that, man. Like that's the one thing that when you find the limits of your capacity, not necessarily your capacity because we can do it just enough, But when it comes to my songs and getting them sounding as good as I want, I always hire the people who are surgeons, like. You can sort of know what disease you have, but I want a doctor to go in and like take care of it.
Absolutely. When it comes to like original releases and things I will actually care about, properly, then I'll give it to someone who knows what they're doing.
Right. No, for sure. And I think it's important to just to be honest with what you're good at and not good at, because otherwise your art suffers, But like, so obviously you have an original band as well. Yeah. And do you find like there's like this sort of like push pull, like because obviously you said like the stuff that you really care about, right? So is it more because I know that in interviews you've said that you really enjoy what you're doing, which is it's interesting to hear someone that seems very fulfilled, you know what I'm saying, genuinely fulfilled, is sort of like you're satiated in every artistic desire that you want.
Well, I think the difference is like with me, I seem to be the minority with creators that I don't really have that much of like an artistic urge that needs to be scratched. And sometimes, I mean, I've got my like originals band, which is a bit of fun, and that we write some songs and stuff, but honestly, like what I enjoy most is just entertaining. I feel like I'm a entertainer first and a musician second. And I just really enjoy making stupid videos. Honestly, that's like my passion. I love that stuff so much. And you sometimes feel like, I really want to like write a song and do something serious, but but not too often. So
yeah. I think that certain people who do enjoy that, I think they're maybe pushed into not being okay with that to some degree,
Absolutely,
because they're sort of like, you have to be serious. You want to do something of substance. But like, I don't know. To me, making someone cry with a song is just as effective as making someone laugh and getting them out of a bad mood.
Yeah.
What one motion's more important than another? Maybe one feels better, but which one feels better? Fucking laughing, and sort of poking fun at niche things that musicians get into, because it's like we're all in our own little like ecosystem, but obviously lately, like there's like you're like in this fucking strange, I'm sure you'd never imagine that you'd be in like a Metallica controversy. Like,
oh god, yeah, that
dude,
thing, yeah.
What was that like, man? That was wild.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's very surreal. So I just started out with like, what it's like as a creator, I'm sure. Like sometimes like the well's a bit dry for ideas, and you're sort of like poking around trying to sort of come up with things to do. I was like, oh shit, it's like video o'clock. I haven't got anything to do. It's like, oh, Metallica just released a new song, and yeah, when the was it Lux Eterna? It was called, like the first new single that came out. I thought, yeah, it's a pretty cool song, but I thought the solo was a bit underwhelming. So I thought, oh, it'd be kind of cool just to take that and like. I just use some like AI thing to like remove the solo and just put my own over the top.
Moise use that?
Yeah.
Fucking awesome. Shout out. I've used it too.
Yeah, it's sick. And I sort of like, what it's like on YouTube. You have to sort of like package things in a certain way to get views. You can't just call it like my Metallica solo. You've got to like package it some sort of like provocative way.
For sure, right.
To make some sort of like emotion. So I called it something like, I remember like Metallica's new song, but the solo doesn't suck, or something like that, along those lines. So sort of like, cause a bit of like a, controversy or whatever. Yeah, and that did pretty well to start with. And then, I think a few months later, some news articles or something like came out with it. And then saw this interview with Kirk Hammett. I'm not sure 100% if he was like talking about mine specifically, but the way they worded the article made it sound like that. It was a bit, I don't know, a bit vague, but I spun it that way,
Yeah. No, it's a safe assumption, man.
Exactly, yeah. You got to do what you got to do.
The funny thing is, like, when you had the rebuttal, despite you being like really funny and like a fucking phenomenal guitar player, like the way that you explain certain things is like, it's quite eloquent, and you're just sort of like, you do it in your comedic way, but it does have like a backbone of intelligence and sort of like, no, this is thought out, like this is, obviously I respect the fucking guy because it's plausible to say if it wasn't for him, you probably wouldn't be here. You never know, right?
Yeah.
So when you're going into something that I guess in more serious territory, for you, right? Compared to the comedic stuff. What's your process there? Are you sort of like writing things out like a sort of thesis and just sort of like
those sort of I'm not like I'm not very good at talking on the spot like things like this. It's a bit hard for me. I've got to like engage more with my brain than usual.
For sure, no, I get it, man. I get it.
Things like that I script out beforehand. Otherwise, it would be like verbal diarrhea. It would be awful.
Yeah.
The way I try and explain things like that, I try and be conscious of like the average guitar player. It's like, even though I put a lot of work into guitar playing and I'm very passionate about it and I've reached like a certain level, I always try my hardest to represent like just the average player. I don't want to just appeal to like the sort of super technical shred dudes and all that. I want to try and because I like the guitar community, like the online guitar community. I wouldn't be where I am now if it wasn't for them. So I try to always represent the everyman guitar player or whatever. So I try and explain things best I can like in that way. Which seems to work, I guess. Seems to resonate with people, which is nice to hear.
Yeah, and there's a couple comments that I've seen, and this is, I think, the most rewarding thing when you're doing something like that, where you change people's minds.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're sort of like this exaggerated version of yourself to be funny, and when they see sort of, a thinner shell outside of that, but like the nucleus is sort of like this, like, no, I need you to understand that this is, I love him, he's great, or whatever it is that you're speaking about at that moment in time, but from a place of just like, no, he has reasons for it. I think that's the thing that really exemplifies people's intelligence, is knowing the reasons why they're doing certain things. The reasons why, like, I don't know, like you're religious or you follow that political affiliation, as opposed to, just sort of seeing surface level things.
Yeah.
I think you do a really good job of like explaining the intention behind it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. So aside from the Paul McCartney video, which is so good, and like the shred collabs, I think those are the first like couple videos that I saw you play, and I was like, oh, you fucking rips. But then I went on your channel, and I remember seeing fucking boggles my mind, dude. You were starting to do guitar solos backwards.
Oh yeah, well that's how my channel started. I started
Really?
with those. Yeah.
Okay.
So I started back in 2019. I think it was early 2019. I started sort of seriously uploading to YouTube.
Okay.
And I was just doing like the normal shit that people do, like some covers. I was like trying to do some lesson videos. And then I had a sort of like a meeting with a mate of mine called Damien Keys. Maybe some of your viewers will know. He's like a music business guy who's on YouTube. He lived locally to me at the time. He gave me a bit of a pep talk and sort of like made me realize that you've got to do something, you know, to stand out. You've got to do something different. You've got to have your own angle. You can't just do the same thing everyone else is doing.
Right.
And that really made me change my perspective on how to, you know, market myself online. And I came up with the idea of trying to do solos backwards. I thought, like, no one's ever done that before.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare to start with.
Dude, I was going to ask, like, so how many have you done? Didn't like 3?
I did a lot. So I started with Tornado with Souls. And that one, actually, thanks to good old Rudy upstairs, he shared that video after it came out. And that's sort of what's responsible for my YouTube actually starting to gain momentum.
Interesting,
so
okay.
I pretty much owe where I'm now to Rudy. So good lad. Yeah, I did Tornado with Souls. I did Far Beyond the Sun, you know, Yngwie Malmsteen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
did a Winter Sun solo. I did Under a Glass Moon.
Like how?
I just took all like the big sort of like, you know, famous crazy guitar solos.
But like how awful was it to do? Like which one took the longest for you to execute?
To be honest, probably definitely the Winter Sun one.
Winter Sun, right?
Yeah. But then after that, Tornado with Souls definitely, because like things like that, it's all about the rhythms. I did Through the Fire and Flames, and that was surprisingly easy because everything's just like straight 16th notes.
Yeah, right.
It's not too bad. But like with things like Tornado with Souls, like the rhythms are very strange. So like when you reverse them, it becomes even weirder. Mm-hmm. And things like that, like there's no way I could memorize it, so I had to like look at the tab as I was recording.
Oh,
because there's no way I could memorize all those weird rhythms and stuff.
Right, that's because we get conditioned. I mean, a lot of how we learn is just constant repetition. We're learning songs that we fucking love, you know. And I'm like that Winter Sun record is like one of my, like, from beginning to end, it is absolute perfection.
Oh yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It is absolute. It is a fucking journey, man.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think we're really relying on our, you know, rehearsed repetition, just enjoying it, you know. But then when you're listening to it backwards, dude, you're handicapped. You can't even trust that anymore.
Yeah, because a lot of guitar playing is like pattern recognition, isn't it? And then once you get out of that, you're a bit like, oh dear, you know.
Oh, dude, you're playing freeform jazz, like bebop, and it's just like,
exactly.
I'm good, you know.
Yeah.
But man, that was like, you know, dude, props on that. That's fucking wild. Another thing that I saw you do, I'm a huge Tolkien fan.
Oh yeah,
massive Tolkien fan.
Me too.
Yeah.
So I've got a new hand tattoo. It's a Tolkien one.
Yeah, that's amazing. Nice. I was actually going to ask about your other one.
Oh, that's from Twin Peaks. Things were actually in Washington. Like, I would like to go. Well, I wanted to go and see like the town and stuff, but I don't think there's going to be time.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, I follow like I don't know if you follow this YouTube channel, Tolkien Untangled.
No, like I do follow a couple of channels, but not that one.
Yeah, he goes into like the Silmarillion and like deep. I mean, this guy's like fucking. He speaks in Sindarin. I mean, like,
oh wow,
he's invested. So yeah, I saw when you did that it was like, how long was it that Tolkien video, like the Lord of the Rings soundtrack?
Yeah, so that was like 3.5 hours.
Dude, like what the fuck, man? Like how?
Again, like my thing on YouTube has always been to just do something to stand out. I just got to keep giving myself like crazy challenges. Yeah. You know, so it's like leading on from the backwards thing, and I don't know, I can't remember what I did after that. Yeah, but then I had the idea to just like do like film covers. Like Lord of the Rings. I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so that was like the obvious go-to. I want to do Star Wars at some point, but honestly, I'm still mentally recovering from the Lord of the Rings.
Dude, yeah, man, I don't blame you. How long ago
was that? Like over a year ago.
I was gonna say, no, you need like 5 years to just like simmer down and just like.
It was a lot of work. It took about 3 months, I think, to do non-stop. I think like it should have taken maybe about a year, but I sort of like speed ran it just to do it as fast as possible.
Fuck, dude, that's like wild, man. So like, and obviously you did it like in one big take.
No.
Oh, did you?
No, it's all split up.
I mean, it's
no
3
way
hours. I was gonna say, dude, like, holy shit. I mean, I could maybe see if like you're reading the notation and just like kind of going from that. But I mean, like, I didn't believe it at first. Like, I was just like, there's no fucking way. I thought it was 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, no, dude, it's like, that's hours. What would you say your most ambitious project is out of everything?
Definitely
would it be
that. By a long shot. It's not even close. Yeah,
like that
was a lot of work.
That's wild, man. Are you planning to do anything like that? Well, aside from Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean, some people wanted me to do like the second and the third one, but I feel like it wouldn't really be the same. I don't want to do something different. So yeah, I'll do the very first Star Wars film at some point.
Okay. How was the response for the Tolkien video for the Lord of the Rings?
I mean, like it didn't blow up or anything. It has like 500k views or something, which is nice.
Yeah.
And somehow it was monetized as well. Like it was blocked at first, and I disputed it, and they released it, which was nice of them.
Oh, that's
that
amazing.
doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, definitely not. So, like, tell me about your band. You know, the original music. Like, what your role is. Obviously, if you're in a band, well, would you consider it a band or like a sort of
no?
solo
Yeah, it's a
project
band. So basically, what it is, it's like me and my old school friends. We played in a band years ago, up until like mid-20s or so, and then we called it quits. And I think during COVID, you know, like everyone had like a COVID project. I was like, oh, it'd be cool to like re-record all those old songs we did properly, because back then we recorded them on like a, I don't know, like a shitty 4-track or whatever it was back then. Yeah, it was awful. So we thought like, yeah, actually do the songs justice and record them properly. And like we had a lot of fun doing it, and so we thought, yeah, let's make a thing of it and like do some gigs and stuff. It's not really like a serious project; it's just a bit of fun, because you know, as much as I enjoy YouTube, I think, you know, I've got like a little bit of an urge to go and do some live stuff sometimes. You know, there's nothing like it. You know, just getting up on stage and doing shit. Yeah, so that's what it is for me. Really, it's mainly like an outlet. It's going okay. I mean, I'm not putting too much time into it, but yeah, it's nice.
Sort of just like shits and giggles, just sort
of
like,
exactly.
You know,
yeah,
sort of
yeah. But you know what it's like these days with original music. You have to put like as much time into it as you have to, like, you know, a full-time job. So I just don't have the time for that.
It's tough, man, because I think that there's so many content creators now. It sort of trains the algorithm to, you know, like obviously favor that the level of consistency. And you know, it takes me sometimes like 6 to 8 months, and sometimes a year, 2 years for certain songs. So I can't really, you know, it's not conducive to original music at all, because it's like, it's fucking hard. So now all the original artists that I know that I was buddies with that were like at NAMM putting down the YouTubers at the fucking Clarion, you know. Now everyone wants to be on YouTube now, because it has more headroom for being lucrative.
Yeah, I feel like the artists who have embraced that world, they're the ones who are winning now, right?
The thing is, when you are doing both, you're sort of sacrificing one for the other, right? So you have this constant, like, you know, you're on the content creation grind, and then, you know, it may take longer to release original music. At least that's what happened to me. Like, do you stream at all? Live stream?
So I tried it. It was okay, but I learned that, like, I don't enjoy streaming as much as making videos. It's just the whole, like, I mean, like, part of the appeal for me with YouTube is, like, you can just do what you want when you want. You know, you can work on your own time, but with Twitch, you know, you have to be at your computer at a certain time whenever you say you're going to be live or whatever. I didn't like the stress of that. It was, I don't know, it was a bit stressful. And it's really mentally draining being live for hours on end. You know, have to be entertaining constantly, and being conscious of what, you know, what you're doing, and are you being entertaining enough for people?
Because they can't clap when you're doing something.
Yeah,
you have, like, you can see them in the chat, you know, but there's a lot of lurkers.
Yeah,
you know. But do you find that because I definitely noticed a difference in community with Twitch compared to, like, you know, streaming on like YouTube or like even the Instagram. You know, there's different platforms attract different people, you know. Like, how was the community for you when you were streaming on Twitch?
Oh yeah, it was very nice. It's definitely a lot more wholesome than YouTube, I would say.
For sure,
and
the
UI is like infinitely nicer. But for me, I don't think I'll carry on with it, because, you know, I've already spent so many years building up a following on YouTube, and it doesn't really make much sense for me to start all over again on Twitch, because, you know, you can try and get people over, but only a very small percentage of your following will actually convert. And so I just thought, I can't be bothered. If I stream again, it will be on YouTube probably. But I did enjoy the time on Twitch, and I made the most of it. I ended up doing these like cool little projects where, like, I didn't really have time to do like 20 hours a month spread over several days. So what I ended up doing was doing like 2 mega 10-hour streams on 2 different days. I did this thing where, like, I wrote a whole album in the style of certain bands in these whole days. So I did like a Metallica one, a Megadeth one, and a Dream Theater one, which I just did in like these massive mega streams. And like that went down really well, and people liked it. But I couldn't do that in the long term. It was like insanely draining, like, holy shit. But
dude, I get it, man.
It was good fun.
It was a lot of fun. That's the thing that sort of kept me doing it. It's just the audience, man. Like, we had, like, dude, it was like, for my career, it was like a golden era of like really, really connecting with my fans to a degree that I could, you know, I mean, touring, obviously, like, that's just fuck everything about touring, but I love performing and I love hanging out with my fans afterward until they kick us out. Like, that's like, be still my fucking heart. I love doing that, man. I'm just so grateful that they're just cool. You're not pricks, you know, like they're intelligent people who want to have a good time and like, you know, are sophisticated and intelligent and have interests beyond, you know, money, Lamborghinis and, you know, chasing chicks, you know, they're like, they talk about the Silmarillion and shit like that, you know, like they're fucking nerds with substance. I think that, you know, and the same correlates for like an original artist trying to do, you know, content creation and stick to that commitment.
Yeah. This is why, like, as tempting as it is to try and do a band full time and content creation full time, it's just like one would, you know, like you said earlier, one would be would suffer in quality compared to the other. So I feel like you very much have to like pick your game and go like all in.
Yeah.
You know, like the old adage goes, like, you know, don't put all your eggs in one basket. But I do feel like you kind of have to,
to a degree. I think maybe like if we were to alter that, it's more a matter of like plant as many seeds as you want, take care of them equally. Don't favor anyone's and see which ones grow first, and that's the one that you focus on. You know, because I think one of the things a lot of artists that I work with have they tend to err towards the classic like confusion in your own marketplace, which is, you know, they see this person doing reviews and then this person doing reactions and this person doing covers, and what ends up happening is their YouTube channel is like a gear review and this. So that it's very apparent that they're trying to find their footing and seeing what sticks, but you know, they're not sticking with one thing long enough, like to really again like put enough of the fertilizer or the air or like the water or the sun to like really yield a tree that's going to bear fruit for you, you know? So, you know, it's one of those things where you just have to like, all right, if that's what you want to do, because at the end of the day, it's like, they don't care what they do as long as they have the guitar in their hand, you know? But at the same time, here's the thing. So I remember growing up in high school, our dream job was to work at Guitar Center or guitar, you know, just to be around guitars. If I'm just that, like, I'll be so happy. You get that job and it's fucking miserable, right? Because it's so much more than just like, you know, being around guitars. Yeah. So then you go to, all right, well, if I was teaching, if I have a guitar in my hand and I'm teaching, that'd be awesome. You get that. It's fucking awful, you know? Or, you know, I just want to tour with someone. I'll be a hired gun, whatever. You get that. Then it's fucking awful. I want to do my own stuff. Then you get that. Then you'll find something else to complain about, right? Yeah. And it's just that constant, like, churning of, you know, what's going to make you happy. And one of the artists that I work with, like, he really didn't want to do the thing that he eventually got really successful at doing. And now he's locked into it. And he's like, how do I, you know, get out of it? Well, I'm like, listen, man, you have to take people on a journey. You have to really just like microdose them and slowly keep doing what you're doing, because you got to put food on your tables for your kids. Yeah. But you got to slowly, strategically, like, you know, microdose them with, you know, what is that you want to do. And just know that, listen, it beats working for someone else, you know, at the end of the day. Absolutely. But, you know, I guess everyone just has a different temperament in that regard. Yeah.
This is actually, it's one of the dangers, well, not dangers, that's a bad word to use, but one of the predicaments that a lot of creators, I think, find themselves in with YouTube. It's like you were saying earlier, like, so I run a YouTube consultancy sort of gig on the side.
Oh, nice, awesome.
And pretty much like what you were saying earlier, like the number one thing, the problem that people have with their channels that come to me is like, they try and do too much at once. So, you know, like they're trying to do like reviews, reactions, they're trying to do some like covers, whatever. They're trying to do too much. Right. Because they just assume that like, oh, I'm a guitar channel, that means I can do anything guitar related. But, you know, that's not how it works. You know how it works, right?
Not at all. Yeah. Not at all how it works.
But then the flip side of that is like, you find your thing you want to do, and then like you've built your audience around it. But then like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years down the line, you think, oh, I've dug myself this massive hole. You know, this is what people expect from me, and I want to change it, and you can't. You sort of like, you're stuck in this thing. Yeah. And you can change it. Like you said, you like, oh, actually, that's what's Rudy's done, what Nick's done. They've managed to sort of like do a bit of a U-turn on the content they make. Yeah. It takes a lot of balls. It sure does. And a lot of work. But, you know, you can do it. You've got to like ease your audience into it, you know, gradually. I mean, people say like, you know, you got to niche down, which is true, but then you got to be really sure that's what you want to do before you commit to it.
But sometimes it's like, once you get it, you don't know if that's what you want to do until you get it.
Exactly.
You know? Exactly. You sort of have to reevaluate constantly. I mean, as hokey as it sounds, I often, especially in clinics, I talk about like what the key to success is. And if you think about what a fucking key is, it's like this blank template, right? And then as we're going along, we're carving grooves. So like you, for instance, the first groove that you're carving is like, I'm going to practice guitar. I'm going to get really fucking good at it. And that's a unique angle, right? You could be like this, or you could be like this, right? And then the next groove is like, all right, well, I'm going to get into like, telling stories and like doing skits. All right. All right. I'm going to do it in a comedic way. So, you build this key for yourself and you just start opening up doors, and you have to sort of reevaluating. Sorry, I made this key. All right. It's not working. Maybe I have to reevaluate and see what my, capacity to make a new key is, So like Jared Dines is a perfect example. So like he's a competent musician, multi-instrumentalist, has, is funny. And especially like he was one of the pioneers who had like really crisp, video quality. So like that gave him an edge.
Yeah.
And so that's like his key, So like it is exhausting, man. I think a lot of people when they're hacking away at that key, they just get tired of holding the hammer, It's just like, fuck, I made like 7 keys, dude. Like nothing's happening, But sometimes it's like, it's when they let go that something tends to unlock. There's like, oh, now it's fucking work, now it's happening for me. But so for you, like, I guess you're really, you're at a wonderful point in your career at the moment, and I'm sure that you're feeling great. I mean, you should feel great about, what you're accomplishing. So do you feel like there's aspects of your career that you feel rather misunderstood?
I don't think so. I mean, I've carved my channel very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
I've made sure that it's always focused. I mean, it sounds a bit narcissistic, but it's always about like me as a person as opposed to like a particular type of content.
It's like your viewpoint.
Yeah, and I feel like for the longevity of a YouTube channel, that's really important. If you only carve your channel around, the content itself, as abstract as that sounds, like it's not good. Like you need to make sure that it's always around you, and like maybe it'll be like not as good for virality and stuff. But like for me, like I've had a couple of moments where I've had like a lot of viral videos and like things have sort of like exploded for a while. But like not compared to other channels like like Nick or something who's like has like crazy viral spikes and stuff. That doesn't really happen to me, but it's been like very steady, and the revenue's been steady, and like the views have been steady, and like the subs coming in have been steady. So it's not so you sort of like sacrifice this like crazy like peaks and troughs for just like a nice steady incline, which I think is like it's not as like impressive or like crazy or whatever, but I think for longevity it's the way to be. It's the way to go.
I agree, man. But so I guess for you now, like, do you have any plans of, like, how do you plan to outdo yourself, or like continue on doing what you're doing, or elevating what you're doing?
This has sort of been my focus this year. Is that I've been happy. I sort of go through these phases of like being content and just sort of like churning out the content on like autopilot, and then like sort of going through these phases of like, all right, I need to like knuckle down and try and think of some new video format types to try and just like supercharge the growth just a little bit more, just like just push up to like past the plateau, because that happens occasionally. I'm not sure. I mean, eventually, further down the line, I would like to get away from guitar stuff.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
I'm honestly like I'll always be a musician, but I kind of want to separate my YouTube channel from that and do like music as a side thing, just for fun, and have my channel sort of like purely for like skits and stuff. I'd like to do just like general comedy skits. That's like the goal eventually. And just separate the guitar stuff. I don't know if you know, like, what's his name? Daniel Thrasher or something like that. He's a YouTuber who does like general comedy stuff, and sometimes he does like music skits as well. I mean, that'd be like a really cool place to get into.
Yeah. So who are your comedic heroes? Like, who inspired you in terms of like the type of humor?
Tim and Eric for sure.
Okay.
If you know, like American comedians. They used to be on Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm.
They do like really just like, I don't know how to explain it. Just really goofy, silly. It's impossible to explain. You got to like watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, people know them from like the memes, like the free real estate meme, or like the spaghetti meme. I don't know. It's just really goofy, silly stuff with like lots of like low quality green screen. I mean, I love that stuff, and like Monty Python, of course, and sort of like early Will Ferrell films, like Step Brothers and all that. I love Napoleon Dynamite, or things like just like really. Just silly. I just love like really silly, stupid shit. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. So we're gonna move on to our next segment, where I show you a photo of someone.
Okay.
And you just share your opinion. First thing that comes to mind. Any thoughts, comments, whatever. Just spit it right out.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Ready for photo number 1?
Go on.
All right. But that guy. What do you think about that guy?
That's Alex Skolnick from Testament.
It sure is.
fucking sick guitar player. I'd say when I was really sort of like woodshedding guitar hard when I was in my sort of late teens. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like sort of, I don't know, how old was I? Like 16, 17, 18 maybe. Yeah. I was really into like the, the thrash stuff. And Alex Skolnick, like one of my heroes for sure. Like his guitar playing on like New Order album, I think it's called.
I think I saw you do something recently, right?
Oh yeah.
I saw you do something recently. Yeah, like Souls of Black is like, bro, like those solos, like it was like, I have a really important memory with like sort of surrounding Testament. So are you familiar with Ollie Herbert from All That Remains?
Oh yeah, of course.
He played a solo on the song Dopamine off of Synapse, and it was interesting because he spent a weekend at my house, and we were just sort of like, so I was tracking him, and I remember after the first night, we were just like hanging out in my kitchen. We were taking a break and like, just having a good laugh. And, we put on Testament, and man, it was, I mean, we were in our 30s when this happened, but it was like we were two like 15-year-old kids, just like, and you know how it is when you're listening to a solo and it's just like, when the notes land, like those land, like we were making the same faces and the same notes. Like it was just such a fucking, I mean, may he rest in peace. I miss him a lot. We were just listening to fucking Skolnick songs like all night, dude. I was just like, and he was going into like deep cuts, man. I mean, so like, and I fucking love Alex.
It's funny, isn't it? Because like, even though you obviously like the song will always be the most important thing, but like, I think people do underestimate how much a good lead guitarist can like elevate a band. Like, look at Ollie, for example.
I agree, man.
Yeah. They really can just like, they just give that little extra spice on top that just is like that, When
I listen to like November Rain, a song structure like that has a guitar solo, you have a cadence and you have a build-up and you have a tension. If you really listen to it objectively, it seems that the whole song is always peaking towards the solo, right? Because after that point, after that juncture of the guitar solo, you're vamping on a chorus and what's happening? Like, or Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah.
Like you listen to that solo and how it's just, it starts off and is fucking beautiful and controlled and just sophisticated and well thought out, and then it's like you can't deny that is the peak of that song. Good, so to your point, you're absolutely right, man. It's like when you're at a bar drunk with your friends, like, and you're singing a solo, come on, like Bohemian Rhapsody, like there is an art to wielding it, and I think that really does serve. That's playing to serve the song, you know?
Yeah.
Awesome. So what do you think about this lovely gentleman?
Oh, Dean Lamb.
Yeah.
For me, like, I'm not really into that style of music too much, like tech death and stuff. But I think what Archspire does is like, I don't know, I think like they're like the band in that genre. They do it like to perfection. Besides, like, Necrophagus, like they were like they're like the OGs, right? And I feel like Archspire is like the sort of like natural progression from that. They're like super creative, like very musical. Like Dean is a super funny
dude,
funny guy. I was actually I caught one of his streams. I think like maybe a few days before I came here. I catch him sometimes because like I don't know, he's just a phenomenal player. And if anything, like his picking hand is just like very bizarre.
Yeah,
I just love to see his picking hand in action. He like picks like completely like parallel to the strings.
Right.
Which is very odd, but it's a crazy technique. I just love watching him play.
I really think like 51% of the finger tone is positioning. I mean, like Marty is a perfect example. Yeah. I mean, dude, the way that his angle hits the strings, and obviously, Michelangelo Badio is the same way, like very, perpendicular 9-degree, sort of thing. But yeah, dude, he's absolutely phenomenal. I've done a couple of videos with him. Like we did like the 4 levels of death metal.
Oh, that's sick.
Man, that video was fucking unhinged, dude. Like him and his wife, they're very entertaining, man.
Yeah.
They're really entertaining. So, but yeah, he absolutely kills it. What about this gentleman? What do you think of that guy?
Kirk Hammett.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't really know much about him.
Not at all.
In some obscure up-and-coming band, is he?
Yeah, I think he plays in a band called Meshuggah.
Honestly, mate, as much as I meme on Metallica and like, most people do, I guess a lot of us wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Metallica and Kirk's playing. And the early stuff, you just can't beat it. He has such a unique, uncopyable style. Because like in a lot of my videos, I try and copy other guitarist styles, and Kirk's is always very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guitarists have a very obvious style that's super easy to copy, but to get the little nuances of Kirk's playing is very difficult. He has his very strange way of making phrases, and his vibrato is obviously very, very unique.
Very unique. You know it's him.
Yeah, you know it's him straight away.
Like Ella Fitzgerald, she can't control her vibrato. It's just
exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
Here's a question, actually. That's a little bit of a segue. Do you listen? Like now that you have like a seasoned musician's ear, do you listen to the music you used to listen to when you were a kid differently?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, what's funny is that actually it's maybe like think of it even more since being here is that like I feel like a lot of metalheads are sort of like ashamed to be metalheads. I feel like a lot of people who are into metal are kind of ashamed. It's almost like ashamed to be into it. It's like I guess I've been through that as well, but I grew up listening to that stuff, and then I sort of like went away from it and like had my phase where I just listened to every whatever, all types of music to expand my ear. And I sort of like come back around to it again. I've sort of just come to terms with the fact that I like metal and I'm whatever. I'm totally comfortable with that. And yeah, I do listen to the stuff that I listened to as a kid differently. Sometimes I wish I could turn that off and just experience just like the magic again when you were younger. But it is nice to just go back with a more refined ear and actually understand what they're doing, like harmonically and arrangement-wise and stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely gives you a different perspective.
Absolutely. What
about this guy? You know that guy?
No, Mr. KDH.
Yeah,
I'm good friends with KDH.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, what's his name? I think it's Kalen.
I have no idea. I
think it's Kalen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in like a WhatsApp group chat with a lot of YouTubers.
Oh, nice.
And he's in there, and we talk quite regularly on there. And he's a super nice guy, and I appreciate what he's done for the guitar community. Done the sort of like whole like content cop like style video format in our little niche, and he's doing super well. He's such a natural.
Yeah, it seems like he's in his element. It seems like Absolutely. He comes naturally to him to do, and I think that there's, I think that it is helpful to have people like that to know that they're out there when you're a content creator, because it like a lot of people don't have a lot of, I think, practice listening to their conscience, and I think when it comes to business especially, there's a lot of people who want to cut corners and do their thing, but it is good to know that there's someone that is probably in the back of their mind, like, oh, they're probably going to do a video about
Keeping
this,
it on, yeah.
I do think that they really do serve a purpose for sure.
Absolutely. I guess it also puts pressure on him because he has to be like super, keep himself in line. Otherwise, it's going to reflect super badly on him.
No, you're right. And I think it works both ways like that, because the other thing too is like, assuming that, someone like that is working from their own conscience, their own conscience rather. They also have to be careful because if there's no like, not that's to say he's a drama channel. I'm honestly not that familiar with him. All I know is like the Rob Chapman thing, but that's all I'm aware of. I don't. But I think that people like that, it's really, it's a natural human. It's human nature to sort of want something successful. It's like, all right, I got to keep doing this. So I feel like if they let that horse and carriage go out of control, then they're sort of like, they become the drama channel, and they're starting to do their own drama, just making stuff up and sort of really going too deep into certain things, But yeah, no, I'm thankful. I mean, listen, everyone has to play a role in this, right? And there's so many. It's like a video game. Like there's like a who's that Pokemon? Like there's so many spaces still left, for people to like carve their niche. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's cool when someone has like a unique thing, like either you or him or like Rudy, a very unique. But awesome. Tell him I said hello. What about this guy? What do you think about him?
Oh, Mr. Terraberry. How do you say Terraberry?
Terraberry.
Yeah. I'm mates with Steve as well, and it's unfortunate that he couldn't be here. I did message him personally and ask him if he's coming down. But he said, I don't know what his official reply was, but he said to me that he doesn't like traveling very much. He didn't want to make the journey. I don't know if there were other reasons, but that's what he said to me. But I know he gets bashed a lot by the community, but I really enjoy what he does. And like, when I first started YouTube, him and Jared were like, the guys.
Right. Jared, Rob Scallon.
Rob Scallon, yeah. Like guitar YouTube wouldn't be where it is now if it wasn't for those guys. And I guess my style of content is a lot closer to Steve's than Jared's or Rob's.
I think that the role that he plays, it's more a matter of exposing younger generations to that level of guitar playing. I think it's and this isn't I don't mean that by a demeaning sense at all. I'm not saying like he's like some gateway thing, but I do think that having a personality that's uplifting, that kids can relate to, you know, I often say like he's like the Blues Clues of guitar shred.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like that's fucking cool, man. Like, why would you not want that for kids? You know what I'm saying? Like he's he's kooky, he's quirky, he's fun, he's and he has this sort of like childlike innocence, but he can shred too, you know? So it's like, I think that again, people, they're sort of, when they do rag on people like that, it's sort of like they're comparing it to the sort of level of the content that they watch, but he's not making content for like 40, 50-year-olds who are into like prog metal, he's making content for himself. First and foremost, at least I hope, and then, just younger generations who, like your kids, when you have kids and you're into prog metal and you're in your 40s, they're probably gonna like that's who you want them to watch, so that they can relate to you and what your interests are.
Yeah, I remember hearing from him that I think the reason he does those kids videos is because I think he's very close to his niece and nephew or something. And it's sort of like he makes videos like for them. And, in the hope that other younger people will enjoy it, which is very wholesome.
That's amazing, yeah. And I think that because I'm not exposed to any kids that, like, I don't really know what they're into. I mean, I know that there's there's ecosystems for everything. There's, like, cars and racing and parts and kid stuff. And, like, it's wild, Then you see, like, they have, like, billions of views. It's just, like, holy crap, But there is, again, it's like, you guys are all playing unique roles in the community, no matter the age, no matter the sex, no matter whatever it is that whatever it is, as long as they have a heartbeat, they're good. There's a place for everyone, and but yeah, man, dude, I want to thank you so much for like taking the time. I know it's been like a calmer day,
Yeah, and it's been very welcomed, actually. It's been nice to have a slower paced day.
For sure. But I'm looking forward to seeing what you do for the Rose, for sure.
I'm going completely 180 to what the other guys are doing.
Really?
It's going to be really stupid.
No, dude, I'm sure that's going to be much like today, a very welcome set. But absolute joy talking to you, man. Again, thank you for doing what you're doing. Keep doing it, man.
Thank you so much.
I'm fucking cheering you on in the sidelines.
Cheers.
Awesome. Take care, guys.